One area, though, not seeing that strength is in GameStop. The company, at long last, for those who are waiting for this, taking advantage of the rally that had been happening in the stock to say they're going to be selling some shares up to 3.5 million. For about $1 billion, up to $1 billion is how much they're going to raise. As we know, the company's also been shuffling management and trying to rethink what GameStop fundamentally is, even as there is still sort of trading that goes on that's separate from the fundamentals. Myles, it's interesting that they waited this long. Perhaps they needed to get rid of some of the management that was unwilling to do this, although we sort of have to read between the lines, don't we, for all of this?
Yeah, I mean, look, we discussed on this program how at the height of the mania, the problem with the mania is there was really nothing that as a management team you could credibly do. I mean, look at what happened with Viacom. The stock had ramped up ostensibly because people were excited, I guess, about Paramount Plus. Now we found out all the Archego stuff with that story, and we all know why that story has gone the way it has gone. GameStop, not so dissimilar in that it was, market machinations outside of the company's control, sort of leaving that prior management group with no choice but to sit on their hands. But as you mentioned, Julie, we've seen a considerable cleaning of house in the GME C-suite over the last 6 weeks, putting a management team in place that has a plan, is going to work with Ryan and his team on where the business is headed, and thus can credibly come to market and say, we are raising $1 billion at these levels, not because the stock is high and we just want to hit the bid, but because we have a plan on what we are going to do with the money. 6 weeks ago, I guess it's almost 2 months ago now that we had or more than 2 months ago, all the GameStop stuff really popped off. There was no credible plan in place that the management team could have said, here is why we are raising money at these levels. So I think with everything they've done to get to this point, to then come to market and raise some capital, they've alleviated Sozzi, what maybe they'll get questions from the SEC. But I think, if you'd done this some time back, the SEC would be like, hey, guys, what are we really doing here? Why are we doing this? What's going on? Who do we need to talk to? And I don't really think that comes into play at this point. Should the stock be at 170? I mean, who really knows? But the stock has now been at this level for a couple of weeks, really a month. So, it's again, credible is the word I've kept coming back to, because there's at least a plan in place. You can at least defend the decision, I guess, to come to market here.
Well, outside of the share offering, Myles, GameStop also dumping on our plates that sales for the 9 weeks ended April 4th were up 11%. Sales in February up 5.3%, March up 18%. And you know what? You know who that's probably bullish for? Not necessarily GameStop. It's a Microsoft, it's a Sony, it's a Nintendo, because all these new consoles appear to be selling well through a GameStop. I will also add this too. I don't know who is buying these consoles at a GameStop. My local GameStop is right next to a jam-packed Chipotle. I never see anyone in GameStop, Myles. They are not going from Chipotle into GameStop. It's just not happening in my local location. But I know there's, 40,000 more GameStops around the world, so I guess they're going there.
It's an e-commerce play.
They are. It's an e-commerce play, yes. We'll see if that ever actually ends up materializing.